If you are what you say you are, a superstar.
Hi, my name is Vernon. Today I'm just going to be giving you some pointers and tips you might want to know to help you in the barber shop if you're just getting started, or even if you've been doing this a long time like myself. There's always things you can learn and know that's going to help you be a better barber. This is my first YouTube video, so if you could give me a thumbs up and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. You can leave me any kind of comments or messages, and I would like to get back to them and basically follow up. Obviously, you want to make sure that you're licensed. That's a key factor, so I'm sure you already know that. We want to get you some business cards. These are mine. I have my work on the back and a rundown of what I do. Scissors, fades, tapers, blowouts, afros, mohawks, fro hooks, design shaves, and razor edges. But when you're doing new clients, I think it's important that you make sure your presentation is very important. Make sure that you always wash your hands. Make sure that you clean your tools. Make sure that you are sterile and sanitized at all times, because you never know when clients are paying attention to that kind of stuff. And you also, one of the biggest problems that I find with a lot of new clients that they tell me is that when they go to a barber and they ask for a service, they don't always get exactly what they want. And this is a big problem because a lot of barbers, especially experienced barbers, tend to feel like sometimes they know what's best. And so when someone asks for something specific, they go ahead and do what they think the client would like. And that's probably the worst thing you can do. You always want to safeguard yourself. And in my case, when I cut someone's hair, for example, if I'm giving them a haircut and I'm all done and I'm getting to the edging part, which is one of the most important, I never try to go into their hairline too much. I basically try to start out very timid with it, you know. Again, if it's someone regular, then you're fine. But if it's a new client, and they may even tell you, hey, don't push my hairline back, you know, things like that you hear a lot. But in a lot of cases, they may not say anything at all until after the fact. And then they say, oh man, you pushed my hairline back. Or they come back again and they say, hey, you went back a little too far. So an edge is very important. That's one of the last things you do on a haircut that really makes the haircut pop. So when it comes to an edge, you always want to kind of approach it very cautiously, you know, at least I do. And sometimes you can see an old haircut and you can see guidelines to follow based on what they already got. Sometimes it's like a new canvas and you can tell these people haven't had a haircut in a long time. So a key factor is, you know, don't go in too much because once it's cut, right? So you can't go back. Whereas if you go bit by bit, then you always have room for error and you can adjust and fix it. Same goes with the haircut. You know, when you're doing a haircut, you know, you don't want to just go right into it. If it's a fade, you know, I know a lot of people starting out, when you first start cutting hair, they teach you in school maybe to do this soup bowl kind of line around the haircut, and then you go through the guards in stages until you fade out the line. There's nothing wrong with doing that, but to me that's kind of time consuming, and I will show other videos of how to cut hair the way I do it. At least I think it's most effective, because ultimately you don't want to be taking no more than, you know, 20 minutes to 30 minutes on a haircut at a time at best. I mean, anything longer than that's gonna kind of take a little long. Sometimes the clients get frustrated, especially if you have more people waiting and they're watching you also, to keep in mind. So, and you're not gonna really make that much money or effective like you want if you're taking too long. So those are important things to remember. You always want to use your chair and you want to use your mirror. Those are there to help you work less. You don't want to work hard and take more time walking around and things like that. If you use the chair, it helps speed you up. So never make a client make you feel uncomfortable because you're turning them away from the mirror and things like that. Always keep in mind that you're the barber, you're the professional, and you're in control. Ultimately, you're always going to get clients that aren't always going to like your work. you might not have done anything wrong. They just don't like your work, and that's fine too. In my case, if that's the case, the most I can do is just give the haircut on the house. Don't worry about it. And if they come back, they come back. If they don't, they don't. You can't please everyone, but the key is to try your best, and obviously you want to do as best as you can and follow directions. It's okay to kind of do what you think is best, but sometimes it's better for them to ask for your opinion basically, and then you go from there. Um, Now you're gonna make mistakes, so don't let that discourage you or put you off or get nervous, because once you start cutting more and more and more, you'll learn how to fix your mistakes without anybody even knowing any differently. I make mistakes on a daily basis when I'm doing cuts, whether they're new or regulars, but I just kind of fix it as I go along. So I will show more videos on how to do haircuts and how to fix mistakes, and how to kind of maybe bypass, like I said, going through the textbook kind of way of cutting, where you do this line and then you use the guards and you fade it through and until the line's gone. A lot of the time when you do a haircut like that, if you don't put the line in the right place and then you start fading, what's going to end up happening, either you're going to have the person's fade too high, and that's the last thing you want. If someone wants like a fade mid-range, then you want to do the line a lot further down, because by the time you're finished and you have to fade that line that you've put in so aggressively to make that perfect soup bowl, it can sometimes be a challenge to get that line out of the head. So when I fade, I don't do that. I tend to use more of a flicking action, more freehand, and then I use the edges at the very last phase to kind of clean the scalp and clean it out at the very end. So obviously me speaking and showing is two different things, and this is my first video, so I will have more videos in breaking this kind of stuff down. You always want to use a comb with your clippers. You never just want to cut someone's hair and not have a comb in your hand. That's very important, because this is going to help you remove the hair off the head so you can see what you're doing. And you also want to be able to cut a variety of ethnicity, different people. You don't want to just cut, one style of haircut. You may have started out just cutting your friends, might have been what got you into this business, and that's okay. But ultimately, if you went to school, and schools aren't always the best way to learn, that's why I wanted to do this, to kind of help people. But they should teach you, but ultimately sometimes you don't really get the hands-on that you need. But it's important that you learn how to use scissors, scissors over comb, as well as clippers, because, for example, doing Spanish or Caucasian people's hair, you might have to do a bit of both, and they don't want just all of one thing. You may do a haircut that is all just scissors, or you may just do a haircut that's all clippers, but you're gonna maybe be doing a lot too that involve both, where you have to do a lot of fading and then afterwards come back and use the scissors. So that's very important as well, because obviously people are gonna see these haircuts and you want them to go out in the world and get complimented and referred and things like that. So all of these things are important, and I just kind of wanted to give you a quick basic summary of some of the things that's good to know when you're getting into this business. And obviously, if you have Facebook or Instagram and things like that, post your pictures or your videos of haircuts and things. That's going to help build your clientele. But never get discouraged if you do a bad haircut, because it happens. Never let the client make you feel like you don't know what you're doing, because that's going to just make you feel even worse, and you might get nervous. And clients tend to notice that, especially if they're a new client, and new clients tend to be the worst sometimes, to be real with you, because you never know what you're going to get. And sometimes they've had nothing but bad experiences, so they're bringing all that negative energy to you before they've even seen what you can do. So you have to kind of know that going in, and don't let that discourage you. Just do the best you can do, but always give yourself space for error, because like I said, you can't put the hair back. Once it's cut, and that's it. So I'm trying to break down a lot of things in my mind right here and now to help people out there. But if you do have questions or comments, that's going to help me make the videos that you guys need. And I also do women haircuts as well. More short, you know, I have a lot of experience in all kinds of haircuts. So if you like this video and it's helped you out in any kind of way, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and I look forward to making more videos and helping you guys out there, okay? Thanks a lot.